Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Friday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather. We've got a lot to talk about today with smoke, thunderstorms, and a look at the extended forecast here coming up. So starting with the satellite imagery, you can see we have thunderstorm activity moving up across parts of Oregon, some lightning strikes there in parts of the Cascades and the Coast Range, and then we have a ton of smoke across eastern Washington, and that is leaking out over western Washington with smoke aloft as well. And we do have some marine layer stratus clouds at the surface across parts of western Washington as well. But a lot of places having a very, very red sun this morning because of all that smoke. And then we have these thunderstorms potentially moving north, likely across the Cascades today as well, with a very high dry lightning chance yet again. So let's dive into this and see what's going on. You can see the thunderstorms across parts of the Coast Range and then across parts of the Oregon Cascades starting to move up into the Washington Cascades. We'll likely see this continue up the Cascade crest and possibly even in the Olympics as we go through the day today. Taking a look at the fire map, we had some growth on some of the fires overnight. Bear Gulch fire now over 10,000 acres. The Wildcat fire near Mount Rainier up to 6,696 acres. Looks like it burned pretty good to the east there. You can see some of the new heat signatures having it burn all the way almost to the far eastern end of Bumping Lake there. The fire has really increased in size in the last few days. The Labor Mountain fire there north of Cleellum has reached 800 acres. And then we have the Lower Sugarloaf fire here northeast of Leavenworth up to 7,780 acres. A lot of growth along all the perimeters of that fire, especially to the south. And then if we go up to the Perry fire here on Ross Lake, 1,300 acres. Big heat signatures across British Columbia with some fires burning there. And then in northeast Washington, you have Rattlesnake Fire at 8,500 acres, and then 1, 2, 3 fires there, Katy Creek, Lynx Mountain, and Tacoma Creek at over 1,000 acres. And then the biggest fire currently in the state here, the Crown Creek Fire, just south of the city of Northport at 12,300 acres, with the Black Hawk Mountain Fire right next to it at 956 acres. So there's a lot going on up there too, which is a big cause of all the smoke we're seeing across western Washington. Taking a look at the overall pattern here in the European model, you can see the ridging continues, but we have this upper level low just to our south, and that is bringing that thunderstorm energy up across parts of the Cascades and then parts of the lowlands as well as we go through Saturday and then into Sunday. We have to watch that lowland thunderstorm chance very carefully. It does look like it's going to happen, but mainly south of Tacoma. And then as we go into Monday, this trough moves on shore to our south, keeping us cool, but our forecast after this has been moving around a little bit. We're a little bit uncertain still on what's going to happen after this trough moves out of the area. Also from the Storm Prediction Center today, we're going to take a look at this in a minute. This is the dry thunderstorm chance. You can see it includes all of the Cascades from the Canadian border all the way to Northern California, and does include the Olympics as well and parts of the Coast Range, Willamette Valley, and just barely does not include the lowlands. So really big chance of dry thunderstorms in areas that already are being affected by a lot of fires. So we have to watch what happens today very closely in terms of if there will be a lot of new fire starts. So European model, taking a look at the lightning flash density, you can see it did pick up some of these storms on the Oregon Coast Range there going into this morning. And then you see as we get to about midday here, it really starts to pick up the chance of lightning up and down the Cascades from up by Canada there all the way down through southern Oregon, and that continues into this evening. Look at all that lightning potential, including across central Oregon too, but Washington Cascades have a lot of lightning potential this evening. Then it turns it down there into tonight, diminishing, and then by 2 a.m. Saturday, you can see we may have some isolated thunderstorms across parts of western Washington, including off the coast and the Olympics and near the Kitsap Peninsula. You can see that continues with potentially a big thunderstorm there up by the Admiralty Inlet area. You get some more in the Cascades as you go into 5 a.m. And on the coast there, you can see some thunderstorms. And those continue moving northward into Saturday morning. Then we get some more activity in the Cascades by Saturday afternoon. You just have a huge amount of potential lightning across the Cascades. And then you have these storms starting here west of the Cascades near the Oregon Coast Range. These start to move north, and you get some isolated thunderstorm activity across parts of the lowlands. And then by the time we get to 8 p.m., you see this line of storms stretching from off the coast over toward about Mount Adams here, including parts of the lowlands, and this will bring some thunderstorms, but then you can see it doesn't really get up past Tacoma and Olympia and then pushes off to the west and then moves offshore. Lots of lightning potentially here for the southern Olympics and the central coast there as that storm pushes offshore. You get some isolated chances going into early Sunday morning as we go up across parts of the lowlands. That continues into the midday of Sunday. There are some chances across western Washington, and then a lot more lightning potential across eastern Washington as we go through the day Sunday. Look at all of that. Just a ton of lightning potential across eastern Washington on Sunday. So yeah, we really have to watch Saturday for the lowland potential. So that's coming into focus a little bit more. So stay tuned for the next couple videos on that. Taking a look at precipitation through the weekend, you can see some areas will get up to near a ½ inch, but many areas just get a little bit of a drizzle. In the Cascades, where you have all these fires burning, you have between 1/10 and 1/2 of an inch, and that is going to be really good if you can get that, but you also have the dry lightning potential beforehand. And we have seen over the last few weeks here that even getting a decent amount of rain on some of these fires doesn't really put them out entirely. And case in point is Bear Gulch over here. It just reached 10,000 acres but had 2 inches of rain on it when an atmospheric river moved through in mid-August. So just because we're getting this amount of rain does not mean that any fires are going to be put out indefinitely. So we have to continue staying very aware of fire starts and how the current fires are going. Taking a look at air quality, you can see good across parts of the lowlands there with some of that marine layer moving in, but then you can see some areas near the Bear Gulch fire really bad air quality, and then up in parts of Whatcom County near the Fraser Valley, you can see some of that elevated air quality as well. And then when you look across the eastern parts of the lowlands from basically I-5 eastward there, or 405 and 167 eastward, you can see some of that elevated air quality as you get higher up into the Cascades where that smoke layer is. And then look at eastern Washington. You can see unhealthy to hazardous air quality across all of eastern Washington with just a ton of smoke sitting over there. So taking a look at that smoke forecast quickly here, you can see smoke aloft. We're a little bit better here in western Washington than we were last night, except north of Everett. But then as we go to the day to day, you see some more smoke plumes off these fires, including off the one by Mount Rainier there, the Wildcat fire. And this just pushes a little bit more smoke over parts of western Washington. And then you get some of this swinging through overnight, especially from Seattle northward in the morning. You get a lot of smoke there. And then this continues as we go into Saturday evening. You see these smoke plumes moving north again, but this may be hampered by thunderstorm activity a little bit. A lot of smoke aloft continuing over eastern Washington. And then into Sunday morning, you can see we continue to have hazy skies across western Washington. And then the smoke at the surface, you can see light concentrations, huge concentrations across eastern Washington. As we go through today, you see those fire plumes there. And then we increase that a little bit tonight across parts of western Washington with the Bear Gulch fire smoke. And then as we go through the day Saturday, we decrease the smoke chances a little bit, but then it increases a bit more across parts of western Washington Saturday evening with some of the Bear Gulch fire smoke hanging low. We'll see how any thunderstorms kick this out of the region. And then going into Sunday morning, you can see we clear out pretty well across western Washington, even parts of eastern Washington getting a little bit clearer, but there's still a ton of smoke out there. And then taking a look at high temperatures real quick, you can see today likely upper 70s to low 80s. Smoke could play a part in keeping this a little bit cooler. Same thing there on Saturday. Smoke could keep this cooler than the mid 70s. And then going into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you can see we cool down quite a bit with those highs in the upper 60s to low 70s. But this depends on really how that extended forecast goes. So stay tuned for more information on that. And then European model extended forecast here with the rain. You can see we are trending toward a little bit of a wetter period going into the middle of September, but that's still very uncertain as you see the spread in the ensembles here. So stay tuned for more on that as well. And then just want to say 8 days left for the 25% off sale on the Western Washington Weather merch store. Link to that is in the description below. Got some really cool products on there, as you can see, with the Western Washington logo. So thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Western Washington Weather. You can now become a member of the channel. I'll talk about that more in an upcoming video, but check that out. And then join the Western Washington Weather Facebook group and follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. The links to all of these and the merch store are in the description below. So thank you all very much for watching, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.